If you're a parent wondering why children today seem to face more health challenges than ever before, you're not alone. It's a concern of mine too. And while the CDC readily admits that an astonishingly high number of kids, up to 40%, are struggling with chronic illness, and I've even seen studies that say as high as 50% and beyond are struggling. Now, there's one thing we know for sure, and that's that the CDC, the FDA, and the conventional medical system, they are light years behind with their research and with admitting what's really going on when it comes to chronic illness and the autism epidemic. Now, it doesn't really matter what path we look down with this conversation, because we can talk about chronic gut, digestive disorders, chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions, and of course, the chronic, severe, life-altering neurological conditions like autism, ADHD, sensory processing disorder, anxiety, epilepsy, depression, and so forth. We literally have millions upon millions of kids and families suffering when they shouldn't be. While conventional medicine often blames genetics and truly just says it's bad luck, they often rush to prescribe medications that mask the symptoms and often lead to even more problems. Now, there's a deeper truth that most doctors just aren't talking about. And the deeper real root cause foundational problem is something that unfortunately, even a lot of your holistic natural health practitioners, they miss, or they simply just don't talk about enough. The truth is, chronic illness in kids is almost always a multifactorial problem, with the root cause going beyond just genetics, and we can't just blame toxins and poor nutrition as well. What if we need to look even deeper than genetics, gluten, glyphosate, all of those common pieces that we look at? What if all of those play a part and they're partially to blame, along with the overuse of medications, antibiotics, and even vaccinations? But what if even after all of that, there's still more to the story? What if the most pervasive and persistent cause of chronic illness in our kids and our families is something literally hiding right in plain sight? Now, this video is for parents who not only feel frustrated, you're disappointed, you're sick of the conventional healthcare system, but you also feel like you've exhausted every single natural and holistic treatment option out there. Now, if you've tried medication, supplementation, detoxification, and maybe even things like hyperbaric oxygen, addressing neuroinflammation, then literally this video is made for you. Because deep down in your gut, there's still that missing foundational piece to the puzzle. And you'll find it here in this video, because we're going to dive deeper into the real truth and the actual science, and really the full story that most don't know when it comes to chronic illness in our kids. We're going to uncover the hidden connection between early life stressors, the nervous system's dysfunction, and dysregulation, and how chronic health issues in children show up because of these concerns. Now, what we call that the perfect storm. And it's a concept that explains why so many of these children are struggling with chronic conditions. And most importantly, you're going to discover how addressing this foundational, real root cause through neurologically focused care can help your child heal naturally and more completely than anything else you've done before. So what I want to do is I want to start off by breaking down that perfect storm that I spoke about earlier. And really that means the early life stressors that lead to chronic illness. Now, that perfect storm complex, we break it down into three primary factors that create that perfect storm in these developing kids. Number one, we always talk about the high levels of maternal stress during pregnancy and or fertility challenges for mom. Number two, we look at birth interventions and trauma. So C-section, forceps, induction, vacuum extraction, cord wrap, all of those are part of the process. And number three, early exposure to medications, antibiotics, toxins, and environmental stressors. And now today, you can honestly add in a fourth stressor that we don't even categorize, and that's the extreme stress that the overuse of technology, smartphones, exposure to the internet, social media, and what that's doing to our kids' nervous systems long before they're ready to deal with that onslaught and that exposure. Now, we talk about what makes up the perfect storm, but I want to explain the role of the nervous system, dysregulation, dysfunction, dysautonomia, and what subluxation is. Now, when a child's developing brain and nervous system are exposed to those stressors early and often in life, it causes their autonomic nervous system to shift into a sustained fight or flight response, the sympathetic side of the coin. Now, that means their nervous system is stuck in overdrive and constantly switched in the on position. Now, what we see is this looks like colic and fussiness for our infants, those constant meltdowns and tantrums, trouble with situational transitions for a toddler and young child, and the impulsivity and behavior issues, along with poor focus and concentration in school for our teenagers and our young adults. And that grows into anxiety, ADHD, and a host of other challenges. This state of constant stress prevents children from being in their natural growth and development mode, the parasympathetic side of the coin. It throws them off track developmentally, and we see many early warning signs like I spoke about: colic, reflux, constipation, ear infections, developmental delays. They're not just isolated issues to grow out of, but they are actually a red flag signal from a deeper neurological dysfunction, which we call the perfect storm brewing beneath the surface. Once the nervous system is thrown into that sympathetic overdrive and becomes dysregulated, now the shutdown function of other core bodily functions continues. Now, what we do is we call that dysautonomia, and it's going to affect a few main areas: digestion, respiration, immune function, and motor control. Because when the nervous system is constantly stuck in sympathetic fight or flight, it has to literally steal energy from other systems in the body just to protect itself on a day-to-day basis. Now, the first system we talked about is the gut and digestive system. Now, this will shut down digestive motility, absorption of nutrients, assimilation, and elimination. This leads to limited detoxification in the body, leaving the body more prone to buildup of toxins and other unwanted bacteria, viruses, pathogens, even parasites. And they can simply get into the body, but we can't get them out. And this is where we end up blaming the gut microbiome instead of saying, well, if the nervous system could regulate this better, then a lot of these challenges could be met head on. Now, the next system that gets disrupted and causes malfunction is our respiratory and our immune system. A sustained sympathetic stress state here leaves the immune system in a hypersensitive, pro-inflammatory state. The neuro and systemic inflammation is now implicated in nearly every chronic disease in kids, stemming from autism to autoimmune conditions and much, much more. And lastly, another system that gets altered through subluxation and the nervous system dysfunction is the sensory motor system. And our children's overall motor tone and their coordination is at risk here, because when affected in this area, it leads to sensory challenges, gross and fine motor delays, speech delays, and more. What it means is not only does the conventional medical system only chase symptoms and work on individual systems versus the whole body and the nervous system, but also functional medicine and natural medicine kind of sometimes does the same thing, where we're just working to use supplementation and detox agents instead of addressing the nervous system dysregulation head on like neurologically focused chiropractic care does. Because nervous system dysregulation, dysfunction, and dysautonomia do not show up on any kind of medical testing. There's no lab work for it. There's no blood work for it. You only find these foundational root causes through the insight scans that we use in our office. Our scans allow us to look deeper beyond just the symptoms, beyond even things like the gut-brain connection and just inflammation. We actually find out why those core bodily systems are dysfunctional and off track in the first place. Now, the good news is your child's health challenges aren't simply genetic. They're not destiny, and they're not bad luck. By finding and addressing the root cause of their nervous system dysfunction and that dysregulation, we can restore balance and function naturally to the brain and body. Now, we don't have to rely on endless medications and interventions. At Pure Chiropractic, this advanced technology, those insight scans, allow us to assess your child's nervous system's function and create fully personalized care plans that address their dysregulation and imbalances head on in a safe, gentle, neurologically focused way. So if you're ready to discover the real root cause of your child's health struggles and learn about natural, drug-free solutions, click the link in our bio to learn more, or simply shoot us a DM or comment on this video scans. We can't wait to get you more info on the real root cause of chronic illness in our kids and help you take the next step in your child's healing journey. Have an awesome rest of your day.